to kick it off to our Director of Educator Preparation, Bianca Jefferson.
Good morning. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning. We will not hold you for a very long time, but we did want to make sure that we had the opportunity to sit down and share with you some updates that we have made to the Literacy Skills Standards Review for this year. And we are very, very happy. Hopefully, these changes will make things seamless for you, and we will be able to get these reviews in and submitted in a timely manner and back to you in a timely manner as well. So Lori is going to share with you all of the updates that we've made, and a lot of these things will still look the same for you. So I'm going to just pass it to Lori.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you, and Jennifer. Thank you, Jennifer and Bianca, for those warm welcomes. In addition to Jennifer and Bianca, we have several people from our Educator Prep team joining us today. We always appreciate their support. I will tell you really quickly, right before we started this morning, I saw that my teammates were not able to admit all. So if I do a little bit of pausing, it's making sure that I'm making sure everyone is admitted into this room, to this webinar. So one thing I want to remind you of is that this webinar is being recorded, and at the end of this webinar, you will be receiving guidance documents, a copy of the PowerPoint, and a recording once it is able to be shared. So if you are worried about missing something, don't worry too much. You'll be getting all of the documents following the webinar.
I think just one person.
There. All right. Okay. So the state of Tennessee has added a disclaimer to all presentations. So if you haven't seen this slide yet, you will become more familiar with it as you participate in webinars from the department. I will pause in just a moment for you to review this just a little bit more deeply. However, in summary, the state of Tennessee does not currently permit the use of generative AI tools in meetings. Generative AI tools are not adequately regulated and are designed to train on data that is collected and may misrepresent data or release protected data to the general public. I'll give you just a quick moment to review this a little bit more in depth. Okay, so our agenda for today includes introductions, which we've mainly already done. We're going to review the Tennessee Literacy Success Act law, the impacts being seen, and the next steps. We have slotted 1 hour for today, and I will stay true to that time frame and move quickly in hopes that we are completed in earlier than an hour's time so that you can get back to the important task of your day. So as mentioned, we've already had some introductions from our team, and I wish that we had time to get introductions from everyone on the call. However, I still do love to see your name pop up on the chats. I've already seen a few on there this morning, and these can serve as a more informal introduction. It is still considered the new year for me, and I like to use this time to implement some positive habits, and I know many of you do the same things, and I'm always looking for ways to increase productivity. So in the chat, if you wouldn't mind to take a moment to list your go-to productivity tool, tip, or app, because I'm always looking for some new ones, and I'm sure some others on this call would love to see what you're using to help you stay on task in the new year. Pomodoro, I'm going to have to look into that one. Time blocking, I try to do well on that one. Planner holds my life too, Mandy Cates, and I lost mine once and it was devastating, and I waited for months for it to come back to me and it never did. I had to start all over. Focus on one task at a time and finish it. That's a good one. Calendly, teamwork. Putting limits on social media apps. That's a big one. I can get into those doom scrolling sometimes, which is not good. Paper and electronic copy. Yes, I have to use both of those as well. Color coding. I see some great things. I still like my Post-it notes too, Angie Baker. I'm all about that. It looks like it's a Post-it note confetti party on my desk at pretty much all times. So thank you so much for all of those tips and tools. Keep them coming in. I know that we can all learn some information from these and ways to be more productive with our time, because I know one thing's for sure, all of us have lots that we're having to keep up with on a daily basis. So thank you so much for sharing those. Okay, so here we go. Tennessee Literacy Success Act, the law, the impact, and the next steps. So I want to take a moment really quickly to review the Tennessee Literacy Success Act for those who may be new to an EPP or new to a role in an EPP that now includes the literacy review. I think it's always really important to be reminded of the why behind the work, and especially the why behind the literacy reviews, since those are an annual occurrence for all of us. The Tennessee Literacy Success Act covers a full scope of guidelines for literacy in Tennessee that ultimately seek to ensure that students are on track to meet grade level proficiency by the end of third grade. Tennessee Literacy Success Act engages students, families, districts, teachers, and higher education institutions to improve early literacy rates in Tennessee through a focus on foundational literacy skills instruction. So TLSA for EPPs requires instruction focused on foundational literacy standards. The foundational literacy standards are comprised of 6 components, and these components are listed here on the slide, and they will continue to be essential to the work that you are doing to prepare teacher and instructional leader candidates, and we'll also circle back to these 6 components later on in the webinar. The foundational literacy skills standards are to be implemented in the following program endorsement areas. I will go into this more in the following slides, but I want to point out that special ed is broken down into a comprehensive and interventionist program. To be more accurate with the review, you will see these programs separated in the matrices for the current review. The Tennessee Literacy Success Act law provides details to the annual standards alignment review, which requires evidence supporting instructional alignment. In addition, the law requires a corrective action plan for misalignment with instruction and the foundational literacy standards. The review results will be published in annual reports and in the EPP report card. Okay, so before we move into the revisions of the review plan, I do want to take a moment to speak to the Tennessee Literacy Success Act beyond the law and elevate the importance surrounding the guidelines of TLSA. So as mentioned previously, the Tennessee Literacy Success Act covers a full scope of guidelines for literacy in Tennessee that ultimately seeks to ensure that students are on track to meet grade level proficiency by the end of third grade. So with that goal in mind, I wanted to take a moment to highlight the growth Tennessee is seeing in ELA TCAP scores. You can see that steady increase in third grade proficiency scores over the most recent years. This is another way to see that steady increase of proficiency scores. This graph also shows the percentages of third grade students exceeding, meeting, approaching, and below expectations. In this particular graph, third and fourth grade scores on ELA portions of the TCAP are compared from one year to the next, beginning in 2020-2021. Fourth grade students achieved a 2.9% increase in their proficiency rate, resulting in 46.4% of students scoring proficient on the latest TCAP. This is also another way to see that steady increase. Again, just like the graphic you saw just a second ago, this demonstrates also fourth grade students in their proficiency levels in exceeding, meeting, approaching, and below expectations. And this graphic demonstrates those gains for fourth grade students who reached an achievement level, historic achievement level this past year. And additionally, the fewest numbers of fourth grade students scored in the below expectations proficiency performance level than ever before, meaning that more fourth grade students are meeting expectations or within reach of meeting expectations, grade level expectations. And overall, yes, I saw a clap on that. So many things to celebrate. Overall, third and fourth grade students are performing at or above expectations in ELA grade levels, increasing to 39% overall, with now every subgroup exceeding pre-pandemic levels. So I saw some clapping hands, and yes, so lots and lots to celebrate. But I think these graphs also elevate too that our work is not done, and we still have a lot of work to do to get our students to where we need to be, but we're definitely on the right path for what is needed to get our Tennessee students proficient in reading. Beyond the data, we received stories of successes within our EPPs during last year's optional narrative. 61% of Tennessee EPPs participated in the optional narrative, and they highlighted the important work taking place at their EPPs. We saw several themes, and these were our top themes that included increased collaboration, not only within EPPs, but between EPPs and LEAs, revised rigorous coursework using that evidence-based and explicit instruction, effective HQIM instruction, or effective HQIM integration, which that emphasis added on best practices with HQIM, a catalyst for change. Overall, the foundational literacy skills standards inclusion led to positive changes. And the best of all is well-prepared and confident candidates. And that was being seen not only at the EPP level, but based on feedback ELAs were giving to EPP, seeing that strength of candidates within the classroom. So why does all of this matter? The TCAP scores, the EPP successes. It all matters because Tennessee students can't wait. I used this first quote last year, but it still continues to speak to the urgency of our work. And I feel like it's important to just read it for us all to hear. The science of reading is a key component of economic and social mobility for all young people. And when more students have a strong foundation in literacy, more students will be able to engage with rigorous grade level work and assignments. And I added on this other quote from the article that I received this information, which is when students master foundational literacy skills, the world of learning opens for them for life. And so when we consider the social and economic mobility of the students in Tennessee, we cannot deny the importance of the work. So yes, our literacy reviews are a part of the law, but that work matters tremendously. This additional graphic comparing students on reading grade level in third grade versus those who are not on grade level by the end of third grade continue to illustrate the urgency and importance of the work at hand and why all of the things that we're doing at the EPP level do matter when it comes to literacy. I'll pause briefly for you to review this slide, and remember, you will also be receiving these documents at the following the presentations. Okay, so we've gone over the impact and the why behind the work. So now for what all of you have showed up for is to see the details of this year's review plan. It is the goal for our literacy reviews to be efficient, effective, and worthwhile. And I know many of you have heard me say that on numerous occasions. So yes, we know that literacy reviews have to be done by law, but it is the goal that this will be a worthwhile process to ensure candidates are competent to continue to increase Tennessee student literacy rates. The 2025 review has the same sections as last year, clear in the work EPPs, you yourself, and the Educator Prep department team. As you can see, all three components of the review remained exactly the same. So we still have the matrices, which is our map of alignment. We've got the syllabi submission, which serve as the artifact, the evidence of alignment, and the narrative, the story of alignment. So in section 1, the standards alignment. Again, I just want to pause here to say that you will be getting guidance documents for all of these pieces as well, but we wanted to review them here while we have everyone together. So just like last year, you're going to receive your matrices back from the department. We're going to send those back to you. And when you receive those matrices, verify what is on the verify that what is on the matrices is accurately reflective of what is occurring in coursework to meet the standards on the matrices. Refined by including any updates or any changes. In addition, I want to point out that all EPPs need to refer to the 2024 reviewers' feedback. Even when meeting expectations, there were comments added for guidance for future reviews. So make sure you look to those as it will be considered during this review process. We noted to use all Black fonts. So in those matrices that you will be receiving back from us, we have blacked out all the font. We hope that that aids in efficiency of having it all in one color text. And also we found that the color led to some confusion, and we really don't want this to be a confusing process. So for this review, we are asking for all Black font within the matrices. Only include those primary courses that teach and assess the standards. We're also asking for specificity to be able to clearly connect what is on the matrices to the syllabi. And then as noted earlier, special education is divided into two separate tabs, into the interventionist and the comprehensive tabs. And this has been updated on the matrices for you. And when you receive these back, if you already had, well, you did already have special ed tabs on yours, I left those in case you needed those for reference. Again, in the goal of making the matrices more of a living document that is effective and efficient, we have revised the headings to just key assessments and clinical experiences, as you can see with the arrows pointing to those headings. You, again, will want to include in the matrices only the primary courses meeting the standards along with what is being used to determine mastery of that standard. Also, in creating a matrices that is reflective of the work occurring, we have provided some guidelines for specificity. In order to provide more examples, that was something that was asked for a lot last year. So in order to provide more examples and to aid into the efficiency and effectiveness of this review process, we included ways to be specific and clear with the content on the matrices and alignment to the syllabi. These are Tennessee examples that we lifted from submitted matrices last year. And again, this graph or this chart of examples and non-specific examples can be found in the guidance documents that you will be receiving. So one thing I want to elevate here is that all literacy standards are important and must be included in instruction as outlined in policy 5.505. However, for the review as it stands currently, EPPs must show full alignment with the foundational literacy standards outlined in TLSA. We often get asked, why aren't all the standards on the literacy review matrices? And that is the why. So for the current review, the foundational literacy standards that are in the matrices are the only standards in the review process. But again, all literacy standards must be taught by law. Okay, so section 1 is the matrices, which is that map of alignment. And now on to section 2, which is the artifact of evidence. Yes, the artifact of evidence of alignment. Sorry about that. I had some people joining in, and anytime I get that little ding, it distracts me just the tiniest little bit. Okay, so for section 2, just like last year, you're going to upload all course syllabi that are included in the matrices. So for every single course that is in that matrices, it should have an uploaded syllabus as well. Again, only those primary courses that teach and assess the foundational literacy standards need to be included in the matrices. Ensure that the standards are evident within the syllabi. And this year, there will only be general folders for syllabi uploads, so naming protocols are going to be essential. Let's talk about these things in more detail. So standards alignment within the syllabi should be evident. And just like last year, it is at the EPP's discretion to decide where and how to include standards within the syllabi. Since at this time, syllabi are used as an artifact of evidence, this helps to show the alignment between the syllabi and the standard alignment matrices. It also builds cohesion between that matrices and syllabi, and hopefully cohesion in between the courses that are teaching the foundational literacy skills standards. As we know, standards drive the work in all facets of education. And so it also drives that work of the course syllabi. I'm going to say this a lot, but just as a reminder, in follow-up emails, you will be receiving guidance documents. And in one of those documents, there are multiple Tennessee EPP examples of standards inclusion within syllabi. And in that document, there will be a whole host of other examples that are in the appendix. But we wanted to go ahead and put some of the examples in today's presentation. These two examples shown here show an EPP connecting those literacy standards within a course outcome. The other example shows the student learning outcomes, the course assignments, and standards all aligned. Here's two more of the EPP examples of objectives with assessment. So you can see the course objectives, assessments, and the literacy standards aligned. The other example shows the objectives, the literacy standards, and the assignments and alignment. Again, there are plenty more examples within the guidance document appendix that you will be receiving following the webinar. Remaining on section 2, another revision to add to the efficiency and the effectiveness of the review process is creating general folders in TN Atlas for syllabi uploads. So therefore, I want to stress that it is important to follow those naming protocols. If a syllabus is used in multiple licensure areas, it only needs to be uploaded once following those syllabi naming protocols. This naming protocol chart is found within your guidance documents, but it is at a glance of the program areas and the naming protocol abbreviations. Again, this example will also be in all guidance documents and even in TN Atlas, showing a naming protocol example for syllabi used in one program. And this example is focusing on elementary. I'll give you a quick moment to look at that. But do not worry, if I move past and you need more time, you will see this again. And another example of naming protocols for examples of syllabi used in multiple programs. Right. So last year's review included an optional narrative. Oh, I see some questions coming in. Bianca, are you able to see those? Okay, good, fantastic. Last year's review included an optional narrative, and this year based on feedback from the State Board of Education, from EPPs in Tennessee, and also from our EPP department team. The narrative is now a required part of the review for this current review. So just like last year, the narrative provides an opportunity to reflect on and share the positive trends that are being seen in EPP instructional practices and in candidate knowledge and their performance on coursework and clinical practices. The narrative should include evidence of the 6 components that we mentioned earlier in this webinar of the foundational literacy skill standards. In TN Atlas, there will be an upload section for early childhood education, elementary, special education, and instructional leader. Again, in the guidance documents, there will be more details for the performance narrative. Okay, and I know that I have said this over and over and over again in this webinar, but you are going to receive a review plan document that is very similar to last year's. It's just a 3-pager. It's very succinct. It gives you everything that you need to know in a clear manner. But in addition, in order to provide more examples and more support, we have added a longer guidance document to truly help support EPP teams in collaboration around the literacy review, in standards alignment, and completion of the literacy review processes. And this is a graphic of the review cycle plan, and it is exactly the same as last year, with the exception of the revisions to section 1, 2, and 3. Keep in mind that this is not an iterative process. Also keep in mind that I have full confidence in all of you to meet expectations for the literacy review. Today, you have received the review requirements of January 14th, and there will be follow-up emails sent to you by the end of the week that will include the guidance documents. The documents that you're responsible for, EPPs are responsible for, the matrices, the syllabi that align to the courses in the matrices, as well as the performance narrative. In addition to this webinar, the PowerPoint you will receive, the recording when it is approved to send, we are also going to be adding this year office hours, 3 separate office hours for you to jump on and to ask any procedural questions that you may have in completing this review process. And even on top of that, we're also going to be offering some collaboration sessions facilitated by EPP representatives, where you have that opportunity to ask questions of your fellow EPP colleagues. The office hours dates will be released in the follow-up emails along with the collaboration session details as well. All right, well, look at that. We had a whole hour for today, and I managed to get all of that done in 30 minutes. Now, I do see some questions coming in, and Bianca is getting to some of those. So if you're seeing some of these questions pop up, you can see that there are comments being made to those. And while she is doing that, I do want to drop into the chat. The survey link. It is a very, very, very quick survey link for today. I think it may just have 4 questions on it. Let me get that. Sorry, my document got to a place where I could not access it as quickly. So right here is the survey link for you today. So again, we do feel like this literacy review process, since that you have 1 year underneath you with that, and then we have taken your feedback to add additional examples, additional guidance documents, and then also opportunities to talk with myself and or Bianca about the procedural components of the literacy review if you get into the work and have those questions, and also an opportunity to collaborate with your EPP colleagues. So that is all that I have for you today. Yes, for clarification, it is to be completed and uploaded by the 31st. Yes, all documents, the matrices, the narrative, and the syllabi by March 31st. We'll be in touch with additional details. And I see a couple more questions coming in that Bianca is trying to get to as she can. But if you are good to go, you are ready to take off. We appreciate you being here. And more importantly, we appreciate the work that you do day in and day out for the teachers and students of Tennessee. Hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day.